Hey, Dr. C here. Today I'm continuing on my discussion of the 4 pillars of pain relief. These are the things that you can do for yourself to relieve pain. I've discussed meditation a little bit in a broader context of the things you can do with your mind to control your pain. Well, today I'm going to talk a little bit specifically about meditation and what it can do. When I describe meditation, I'm not really talking about sitting cross-legged on the floor chanting a mantra, although that is one approach to meditation. There are many others that can be extremely useful to you. And if you can learn these techniques, it will take you a long way to being able to control and modulate and even relieve much of the pain that you experience. So meditation is a family of self-regulation practices that focus on training attention and awareness in order to bring mental processes under greater voluntary control and thereby foster general mental well-being and development and/or specific capacities such as calm, clarity, and concentration. That's a specific definition of meditation, and it is a pretty good description of what meditation does. Meditation allows you to access and control parts of your brain that are generally thought to be involuntary. It's a way for you to learn how to regulate your breathing, your temperature, your mood, and in fact, with practice, it can be an incredibly powerful tool. When I was a kid, a long time ago in the 1970s, there was a show called That's Incredible. And on that show, they often had this guy that they called the Swami. This was basically just a tall man who was well-versed in the practice of meditation. And he would do amazing feats of mind-body control during the 30 minutes that this show aired. And I remember one particular episode where he was able to, as I said, he's a really tall guy, and he was able to fold himself into this impossibly small acrylic box. I mean, his torso seemed to be about the height of the box, and I can't remember the specific dimensions, but I think they said it was a 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot box or something crazy for this tall man. And they showed this video of him sort of contorting himself to get into the position and climb into the box. And then they closed it and they sealed it. And so remember, he's taking up a lot of space within this box. And then they put him in a pool in this box. They sort of like weighted him down on the bottom of a pool. So he was essentially underwater. And they put monitors on him so that you could see what's his heart rate, what's his breathing rate, and they had a camera on him. And during the show, while they were going through their, whatever they were doing as part of the show, they would cut to the Swami guy who was still sitting meditating on the bottom of the pool. And they would show that his heart rate had slowed dramatically. And I can't remember again, I don't remember the specifics. I'm sure somewhere on the internet there's a copy of this video of this guy. And remember, this is the 1970s where camera tricks weren't all that useful. And, in retrospect, it may very well have been done with some trickery. But it was a pretty good explanation or a pretty good illustration of the power of meditation. And it's when I first began to understand what the mind could do to control the body. Basically, this guy was sitting on the bottom of a pool inside an acrylic box with very limited air for an extended period of time. And he was able to slow his heart rate, and he was able to slow his respiratory rate. These are things that are not usually considered to be under voluntary control, certainly not heart rate, but they can become under voluntary control with some rather simple practice. And so he was able to slow his heart rate and his respiratory rate and probably his metabolic rate so that he just didn't require as much oxygen, so that he could survive inside this small chamber with no replenishment of oxygen for an extended period of time. And since then, I've seen numerous examples of the same sort of thing. And some of it is, circus carnival stuff, and some of it is very real. And the bottom line is, the more you practice meditation, the more you are able to gain control of your subconscious. Why is this useful? Well, once you start to gain control of your subconscious, you can start modulating the way your own brain functions. As I've discussed earlier, there are techniques that we use, cognitive behavioral therapy, several others that I've discussed here, and if you want to know more about it, I discuss it in a book I wrote some time ago. But there are ways to change our brain, to shape our experience, and meditation is an incredibly powerful one. We think of meditation in terms of mindfulness, learning to sort of live in the moment and live with your experience from second to second rather than worrying about what comes in the future or what happened in the past. There are some very known negative consequences to wishing that your situation were different. If only I hadn't been texting and driving, I wouldn't have gotten in that car crash and broken my leg and required all those surgeries and been left with this terrible pain. Well, true. If that hadn't happened, you wouldn't be here. But there's not much you can do about it at this point, right? Everybody has these stories. Everybody can look back on their life and say, there were pivotal moments where if I'd done something completely different, I'd be in a much better place than I am today, or worse. Maybe you made some great decisions and avoided some disasters. I know I have, and I imagine that you can think of some of those things too, particularly when you were younger. And the corollary is also true. I've made some bad decisions that left me with bad outcomes that I've had to deal with. And I could spend a lot of time wishing that it hadn't happened, or being angry with myself for having done such a dumb thing, such a stupid thing, but I'm never going to change it. It's in my past, and until I learn how to control time and space, I'm pretty much left with this timeline. I'm going to carry on with my life as it starts today, and saying should've, would've, could've is really counterproductive. Many people spend a lot of time dwelling on their chronic pain. If only I hadn't been in that car crash, I wouldn't have this terrible back pain or these migraines or whatever. But the reality is, you can't undo your past, and you have to learn how to deal with your present and hopefully improve your future by what you do today. And so meditation is one of these approaches. I've discussed that we have the ability to change the way our brain functions physiologically, and we can actually view this on fMRI and PET scan. And meditation is one of the most powerful tools for altering our brain function. There are lots of self-help books on how to meditate. There are lots of different approaches to meditation, from mindfulness training to transcendental meditation to biofeedback, to name a few. Mindfulness is one of the easiest techniques that you can learn, and what it does is it teaches us to be present in the moment. And by present, I mean only thinking about the moment that we're in right now. Forget everything that happened in the past. Don't spend any time worrying about what's coming in the future. All you can control right now is what's happening to you right now. In fact, in the 5 seconds that I've just spoken to you about how you can only control this moment, that moment is now in the past. I can't change what I said. I can edit it, but I can't change it. And so I'm going to give you a quick little rundown on what mindfulness looks like. And you'll say, oh, I get it. It's not complicated. This isn't something that you have to spend a great deal of time learning. But it is something that if you spend a little bit of time every day doing it, you'll find it an incredibly powerful tool for many things, but in my case, for helping you to control your own pain. So this is a basic exercise in mindfulness, and I'm going to consult some notes because otherwise I'll get it out of sequence. But basically, you should sit down and you should just close your eyes. And you should listen to yourself breathe. Get yourself into a comfortable position and just sit and breathe. Don't hyperventilate, don't huff and puff, just breathe and listen to your breathing. As you're sitting and breathing, just notice what you feel like. What does the chair feel like underneath you? What do your clothes feel like on your skin? If you concentrate a little bit, you'll start to notice that you can feel the shirt. You can feel, the wind. I'm outside right now, so you can feel the breeze. You'll hear the noise of the air conditioner or the heater. And as you just concentrate on what's going on in that very moment, all of this information will start to become more and more acute. You'll be more and more aware of it and less aware of your mind thinking about what should be changed or what you need to do about preparing dinner or getting your kid home from school or whatever has been on your mind. Drop that from your mind and just concentrate on your breathing and what your clothing feels like. As you're sitting there thinking about how you feel, if your mind starts to wander, just bring yourself to your breathing. Start just listening to your breath, inhaling and exhaling, and try and refocus on the moment at hand rather than letting your mind wander. Probably you're going to feel your pain. And if you feel your pain, feel it. Don't sit and think about how terrible it is to have your pain, how much it sucks to have this pain, how if only you hadn't been in that car crash, you wouldn't have this pain. Just feel your pain. You can notice it. Say, wow, my back hurts sitting in this position. Maybe you should reposition a little bit so your back doesn't hurt. And then notice how your pain changes. Oh, look, I shifted a little bit. I don't feel the pain as much right now. That's mindfulness. It's a very simple technique. As you notice your pain, try not to think about how it makes you feel, but pay attention to it. Notice how it changes as you shift positions a little bit. Notice how it changes as you breathe in and breathe out. Pay attention to whether or not your muscles are tense. And if they are, try to relax a little bit and see if it affects the way you experience your pain. Does it change the intensity of your pain? Does it change the location of your pain? If you do notice your pain as you're sitting there and breathing, and if you do notice that it changes as you tighten up your muscles or reposition or relax your muscles, pay attention to that. Don't make any judgment about it. Don't say, oh, if only I'd relax more, I'd hurt less. Just notice what it's doing. Be mindful of what you're experiencing. As you're sitting there, breathing, feeling the clothing on your skin, feeling the pressure of the chair under your butt or under your heels if you're reclined, or noticing your pain and how it changes as your muscles tense and relax. Notice that the pain is actually just a small part of everything that you're feeling at the moment. There are many other sensations that you're experiencing at exactly the same time, and pain is just one of them. And you actually do have some control over it with some simple mindfulness techniques. If it starts to become a little bit too intense for you, try just listening to your breathing. Take your mind off the pain. Try relaxing or tightening your muscles to alter your position a little bit to take your mind off the pain. And what you'll see is you can actually control how much you think about your pain. And yeah, it's not easy to maintain this state all the time, but sometimes you just have to know that it can be done, that you can actually modulate your pain, you can alter your pain experience just a little bit with these very simple techniques. This is mindfulness. That's meditation. That's as simple as it gets, and that's all there really is to it. Now you can do a whole lot more with meditation. As I said, you can control much more about your body than just how you think about your pain. But this is step one in beginning your journey of using your brain, using your mind to control your own pain. And if you can learn nothing else from these series of videos that I'm providing you, nothing else other than that you have far more control over your pain than you believe, then you're miles ahead in this game. I hope this video has been interesting to you. I will expand on these topics in future videos. I just want to get some basic information out there right now so that you can start to understand what kind of power you actually have over your pain experience. Please like and subscribe these videos if they're interesting to you, because I have no other feedback and no way of knowing if people are viewing these or want to continue viewing them, or if this is just being broadcast to dead air, for example. And if you have specific questions, feel free to ask them below in the comments section. I'll review those questions, and if there's interest, I'll expand on particular topics. Anything that I've referenced in this video, I will put in the links below so that you can go and research it for yourself, and hopefully get even more insight into how your mind can control your pain as we move forward. Thanks for watching.